A quick Battlefield 5 update for you today. As most of you will be aware, the current situation with DICE and EA teams, they are working from home instead of in the studio to try and stop this spread that the world's dealing with at the moment. We discussed that in one of my previous videos, and we spoke about the ways that that could potentially affect content output and patches for Battlefield 5. The process was inevitably going to slow things down, and update 6.4, which is the next major update for the game, that's likely going to take some sort of small hit, and patches and content drops scheduled for after that will also take some delays as well. Now we have some new information from community manager Adam Freeman that has shone some more light on the situation, at least for what's happening during Chapter 6, and to be brutally honest with you, there's basically nothing else happening with Chapter 6 anymore. In a reply on the This Week in Battlefield thread on Reddit a couple of days back, Freeman opened up about what was going to be in store for the rest of Chapter 6 and what is now in store, based on recent events and what is likely to happen. Firstly, referring to the large number of chapter rank tier skips being handed out via the weekly Tides of War challenges, Freeman stated this was always the plan for Chapter 6, even without these events happening around the world. It was intentional from the DICE team due to the weapons and gadgets being moved away from Tides of War into the chapter rank system. That required players to grind a little bit more to unlock those weapons, but also at the same time, they removed the weekly lock on these gameplay items, and they thought that was better for players. So more rank tier skips meant that players could boost themselves up each week, and they could unlock those weapons a little bit faster. The unfortunate unlocking of a couple of those weapons on day 1 of Chapter 6, however, you're going to remember the Model 37 shotgun and the M2 carbine coming out earlier than intended, that meant that the amount of items available to work towards was almost cut in half, meaning the content that DICE had planned to be spread across the first few weeks of the chapter was basically front-loaded on day 1. Then, as time moves forward, the plan was to switch up some of the rank tier skips later on in Chapter 6 with some cosmetic items to provide players with some better rewards, as opposed to just the rank tier skips that at that point might not really be that helpful. However, now due to the global issues that we're all facing at the moment, that plan has basically been thrown up in the air because more time is likely going to be needed to compile the next major update. And that could just be coming out at the end of Chapter 6, it could be in the next week. We don't really have any information on that at the moment. And then, finally, Freeman confirmed that the plan was not to introduce any more weapons and gadgets in Chapter 6. The only ones included in the chapter rewards will be the ones that are handed out, and that means content for Chapter 6 is likely going to end up extremely light compared to others. Now, obviously, as fans of Battlefield 5, this is going to be slightly disappointing, but of course, it's just a byproduct of the much bigger issues that the world is facing right now, and it's completely understandable that these plans had to be changed. In an ideal world, the later weeks of Chapter 6 would have included some lovely fresh content for us to get our teeth into, but unfortunately, that's just not the world that we live in at the moment, and there are much more important things happening that we need to be concerned about. As for Chapter 7, 8, maybe Chapter 9, we've got nothing on those at the moment, and in my opinion, I'd say it's unlikely that we'll hear much officially from DICE until Chapter 6 is probably over. With the situation that we've got happening right now, and Battlefield 5 already being a game that has suffered massively when it comes to content, plans, changes, and updates, I don't think DICE will be willing to risk trying to put any dates on anything until they're absolutely 150% sure that they can actually deliver something. And right now, for me, that's perfectly fine. There are way more important things to be worrying about. But yeah, I just wanted to keep you all updated because that's kind of the point of my channel. We talk about Battlefield here, and even when there's not much to talk about, it's important that you know that there's not much to talk about. Thanks for watching. Make sure you stay safe, keep your distance, and wash your hands.